For chord transitions, to me, are one of the biggest barriers to get the student around, because you just feel like you just can't do it.
Most of you probably use a pick. It's kind of hard to explain how it is used, except I like to say it's like painting. You're rubbing it across the string is like painting.
Let's do this together. The first finger is going to go on the second fret, and the fifth string. And then, of course, the fourth finger is going to go on the third fret of the first string, which is your E string. And when you play it, when you strum it, one string at a time, that's what it sounds like.
I've got a PDF that I think allows me in the chat to send to everyone, and it's Challenge America made a really nice how you read chord chart. So it's just reinforcement of what was in there.
And when you strum, for example, you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1,
2. But practice with intention. Practice with a goal in mind. Have it set in your mind what you want to do. What do I want to accomplish today? When you start practicing this week, I'm hoping that you'll start practicing the E minor and the A sus2 chords, and going back and forth, transitioning between the two of them.
1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 one more time, 2. You guys are doing great. I'm Tom Lamog. I am an instructor with the cyber chapter of Guitars for Vets, and here with the folks at Cav Arts. And I wanted to welcome you all to the first of 4 modules for the introduction to acoustic guitar. And I'm glad that you brought your guitar if you have it with you, because what we'll be doing is we're going to be going through the highlights of Module 1, and hopefully you made it through the lessons itself that were posted on the Cav Arts site and the Guitars for Vets Learning Center under Module 1. And if not, then we're going to go ahead and hit some of the highlights today of that. You'll also find that there will be a handout as well too, and that would be this guy right here. Let me share that. And that's really what we'll be going through. And if you'd like to follow along, then by all means, use that as a guide. It's also posted in the Guitars for Vets Learning Center itself under Module 1, under the invitation that you clicked on. Okay, so anyway, as we go ahead and get underway, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I have been playing guitar for a while. It was the early 70s when my dad answered my wish and said, could you please get me a guitar? And he ended up buying a beginner Yamaha nylon 6-string guitar, and that was like in the mid 70s. And I've been playing guitar since then, off and on. I am now the singer-songwriter frontman for my band, the Far West Sessions, here in Los Angeles. We don't play as much as we used to, only because many of us are kind of older and just kind of enjoy not hauling gear around, but we do occasionally get together to bring out the guitars and do a little bit of singing and playing and all. I've been with the Guitars for Vets program since May of this year, and I've had 3 students. One of them is joining me today, Joel Grant. Joel, good to see you. Thanks for coming along for the ride this time as well. Anyway, that's a little bit about me. And I want to just go ahead and start by saying thank you for taking the step to be interested in taking the time to do lessons with me and introducing guitar into your life. I've been playing again for a long time, and it's always brought joy to me. And it's always been a nice companion to have, to reflect on whatever mood that I'm in. And I'm glad that you're going to be a part of all of this as well too. So anyway, logistically, before we get started, I will tell you that we've got you all muted right now, but if you can go ahead and again, use the chat feature Are you guys able to see the chat function? I'm not sure if I have to enable something, but here, there it is. Hi. I'll just go ahead and type in hi. And then it's now underway, so it should be started. So you should be able to see that. Feel free to throw in your questions there. A little bit about the iTag live sessions itself. You know that there are 5 self-paced training modules on the Guitars for Vets Learning Center, so you're welcome to go ahead and take each of them at your own pace. And there are video demonstrations in there along with instruction guides and tips and techniques, which you already probably have already seen. And then, of course, there are 4 instructor-led discussions to review those modules, this one being the very first one. And there are going to be myself and a few other of our instructors with the Guitars for Vets and Cav Arts program who will come in and give a little presentation throughout the series to kind of help you learn, from maybe a different perspective as well. Okay, so the live session schedule. So today, the 21st of January, module 1. Next week, modules 2 and 3 will be on Saturday, January 28th, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And then the week after that, module 4, February 4th on Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And then we will close it out with module 5 on February 11th at 10 a.m. And those are all Saturdays. So hopefully you're all able to make it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm on page 3 of the training guide. The expectations for learning. All right, so I don't know how many of you this is new to you, if this is first time you've picked up a guitar, or maybe you have the guitar and you haven't picked it up yet, and now you're at that point where, what do I need to do? What do I need to know? So let's talk about a few of those things that you're going to come into when you when you come into a guitar. It may be new. It may be something that someone loaned to you. It may be in really good shape. It may need a little bit of attention. But whatever the case may be, we're going to talk through some of the things that you need to know. First of all, this is going to require some practice, some consistent practice. I don't know that I've ever met anyone who was naturally born to just pick up an instrument and start strumming and playing and just take off with it. There's a lot of practice that goes involved. And with that practice, sometimes it gets a little physical, sometimes we know that your fingertips are going to start to hurt a little bit. And then as time goes on, after you continue to practice, the fingers, the joints, your wrist, your elbow, it's all going to start to feel like, wow, I love sitting here playing, but boy, oh boy, I'm starting to feel it. So those are things that, just know that it's very interactive. It's a very interactive hobby, at least for me, and the people that I've also jammed with as well too. There's a lot of, foot stomping and, shaking the shoulders and all that stuff. That's all great fun, all part of the experience of being a guitar player. So, things like that, the other things that you need to know about, for me, it's always nice to be able to go to a guitar shop or a music shop and get the advice from someone who knows how to work with guitars. So if you got a guitar and it's kind of like, it doesn't quite sound right, it may be buzzing a lot, or maybe it plays sharp or flat, sometimes it's a little off pitch. Maybe it needs a little TLC. Maybe, if you, take it to your local guitar shop, a reputable guitar shop, and just, hey, look, you know what? Is this playable? Because I'm starting to take lessons and I'm doing what I think I need to do, but it doesn't quite sound right. That's always nice to have, is someone to go to answer your questions about the guitar itself. Because I know I'm not a luthier, and the things that I know about it, I can go and change the strings out. I can go ahead and certainly strap on my strap on the strap pins and all that, but in terms of anything a little more mechanical to it, it's not my strength. I'd rather give it to someone I know who will do the right job, and usually a guitar shop will do that for you. Let's see, Bruce, what else? What am I missing here? What else is there? Bruce is one of our instructors with Guitars for Vets as well too.
I can't stress the practice enough. With my students, I encourage them to practice no more than a half an hour a day, especially for beginners, because uh, if you play for more than a half an hour, you're going to be making mistakes, and you don't want to practice your mistakes. So, limit your sessions to a half an hour. I mean, I have students that want to play more than that, so that's fine. Play for a half an hour, put it down for 2 hours, and come back. So the practice part of it is really important. And I keep all my instruments out in my music room because I don't have pets and my children are grown, so I can come downstairs to my music room and just pick it up and practice. The other thing with practice, I encourage people to pick a time in the day that works for them, and that way it becomes a habit. I mean, I typically come downstairs at 4 o'clock, play for a couple of hours, but if you can pick a time, and just get into the habit of doing it, that's really important.
Let me go ahead and mute the noise right there. All right, Bruce. Oh, thank you, Bruce. Yeah, and it's practice. I mean, that kind of is another one of those topics that was part of the module one materials and the importance of it. And Bruce hit the nail on the head on every single item, because as guitar players, to be able to pick it up, you start to build this muscle memory and the momentum, and in that, it starts to show that you're improving, making improvements. Now, I'm going to use my current student, Joel, who is actually with us, has to unmute. And, Joel is, for the last 9 weeks that we have been doing lessons together, the idea of practice started off with, all right, Tom, I would like to go ahead and learn to play and sing. And that was like week 2, 3 kind of a thing. And here we are at week 8 and 9. Hey, Joel, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about your practice routine?
My practice routine, I wake up usually at 1 a.m. in the morning, and I work a long day. So I get home from work, and probably about a half hour to 45 minutes before I want to go to bed, I'll just pick up my guitar. I'll tune it. I always tune it first. I'll do a few scales, and then I'll start practicing the song that I've been working with Tom on, practicing singing. And by the time I'm ready to go to bed, I feel really relaxed, and all the business of the day is out of my mind.
Real good. And, one thing that I have noticed with Joel is, again, like the rest of us, we have a basic knowledge or, some familiarity with the guitar, at least some of the students that I've been working with. But I can definitely see the improvement in strumming and clean chord changes, and actually quicker chord changes as a result of just, Joel and some of my previous students taking the time to go ahead and practice. They got a goal in mind. It's kind of like, okay, today I'm going to practice on the chords E and A, and I'm just going to practice for 15 minutes doing clean chord changes. Little goals like that, very simple, easy to achieve goals. There's one other thing about expectations that you should have for learning, at least and it still applies to me today, and that is starting off really slow. Unfortunately, it's like, okay, I can't imagine learning a song within a minute. Show me the chart and I'll play it. I gotta practice. I gotta kind of practice up to that. So that whole idea of working up slowly, consistent practice, and there may be some different chord shapes, and your fingers are going to go into different positions. Take it slow, all right? No need to rush through it, and you want to make sure that every string that you play is clean. And when it's not, have that talk with yourself. Okay, I'm going to practice this until I get it right. And Joel is I know that our lessons, you've shown me, you've demonstrated that consistently. So I think it's a good tip to share with everyone. All right, Baltimore, thanks for joining, man. It's good to see you. He's also Baltimore is one of our instructors as well, too, who will be joining us in the next session in modules 2 and 3, along with Bruce, who will be back as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's talk a little bit about the parts of the acoustic guitar. And this is what I want. Hey, Baltimore, let me unmute you, Baltimore, real quick. And if you want to, if there's anything you want to add, just unmute yourself as well too. Okay. Anyway, here's where we're at, and let's see. We are looking at page 4 of the parts of the acoustic guitar. All right, the parts of the acoustic guitar. Now, of course, it would be good to know all of the parts as to why, but I'll be honest with you. Over time, it's kind of like the ones that I focus in on most are like the tuning pegs, right? The pick guard, the bridge pins, of course. So here's what I want to see. You guys got your guitars with you? You got your guitars with you. I want you to point out to me where you can find the frets. Where can you find the frets? Yeah. Right. And what's the significance of the frets? It's because, okay, first of all, the frets are the wires here on the fretboard itself. And when you want to put your finger behind a certain fret to make a clean sound, not on top of it, but right behind it. All right. So that's the significance of the frets. You definitely want to know about that and the fretboard and the neck. When you string, if you decide you want to be bold enough and you want to go ahead and start to restring your guitar, well, it's going to lay on the nut up here. Okay. And then, of course, it's going to be laying over the bridge down here. And where are the bridge pins at, guys? Where are the bridge pins at? Show me. Here you go. That's it. And what's the significance of that? This is what releases the strings out of the guitar, so you can go ahead and swap them out. There's one more piece here. There's the tuning pegs. Where are they at? Where are the tuning pegs at? And then what's the significance of this? Because this is how you tune your guitar.
Yeah. Raise or lower the pitch.
Absolutely. That's it. So, and of course the sound comes out of the sound hole. And maybe you've got your strap pins. I wear a strap quite often when I perform. And then if yours is an acoustic electric guitar, you may have a battery compartment, and you may have your volume control somewhere, maybe even a built-in tuner, which is kind of cool, depending on what kind of guitar that you have. But here's the thing: is that if you don't know where your battery compartment is on your guitar, and you're plugged into an amp, and you can't hear anything anymore, probably the battery. So that's something that you should also check out. Baltimore, did I miss anything? Can you? I hate to put you on the spot, Mr. Instructor, but if I missed anything, you better let me know. Keep me honest.
I'm listening, Tom.
Okay.
We're trying to answer Alex's question here. He's wondering about what book you're looking at to go over this material.
So there was a let's see, on the invitation itself, on the event page itself. If you go to the event page on the G for V Learning Center, there is an attachment in the comment section. And let's see, let me share my screen real quick with you and show you what I'm looking at. So this is the page that we're on right now, the parts of the acoustic guitar. And again, if I were to go to, let me go back to the, if I can find that wonderful page. I may not have it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's the Cav Arts page, right? And we're in the Guitars for Vets Learning Center. And here's the invitation, right? The event page. If you scroll down, I posted a copy of the lesson plan in the comments. Sound good? Hope that helped. Okay, that's where we're at. All right. So let's see here. Where are we now? We are looking at, I just lost my screen here. Let's go on to the next thing. Okay, so here we are. We're talking about strings. We were talking about the tuning pegs. What's it going to take to go ahead and get the guitar in tune? Well, we're getting to that pretty soon. But here's what I'd like to do is I'm going to go ahead and skip to page 5. And on page 5, what you have there are there's a diagram of the open strings, and how they're also associated with the numbers. All right. So let's take a look. Numbers are essential. We're actually taking the numbers and applying them not only to our frets, our strings, but also to our fingers. So what you'll want to do is take a close look at these materials that are in the module themselves, and it breaks it down pretty nicely for you. But what we're going to show you is from the thickest string to the thinnest string. So you're going to have the thick string probably closest to you, and the thin string at the very bottom. And the way that we count these strings is the thinnest string on the bottom, which is the high E, that's string 1. And then the bottom string, bottom E, is the 6th string. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 through 6. Okay, and of course, each string has a letter. It's part of the alphabet as well too. And the thinnest string is a high E string. All right, that's the one that is closest to the ground. And then the second string is B. And then the third string, G. Third to the fourth string is G, or D, I'm sorry, D. Fifth string is A. And the low E string, 6. All right, so we got high E is 1, B is 2, G is 3, D is 4, A is 5, and low E is 6. All right, so now that you know that the each string has a name and a number, why is that important? Because in the next lesson, Baldemar is going to go ahead and talk a little bit about, you're going to play the E minor chord, and that means putting your second finger, which is your middle finger, on the 2nd fret 5th string. I mean, they're all numbers right there, right? Second finger, 2nd fret, 5th string. So you need to start to understand how those numbers kind of tie in with the fingers, strings, and frets. Speaking of which, let's talk about these numbers right now. So 1 is going to be your index finger. Right. Hold it up, guys and ladies. 1. Okay. 2 is your middle finger. All right. So you got 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 3 is your ring finger. 1, 2, 3. And then 4 is your pinky. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take your first finger, put it on the 1st fret of the 1st string. Let's see it. Okay, and now let's take the 2nd finger and put it on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Let's see it. We doing it? Y'all should be flipping me off now, okay? Us guitar players have liked that trick for as long as we've been playing. Take the 3rd finger, 3rd string, 1st fret. You got it? Let's see. All right. Alex, I don't see you. Come on, let me see it. So you're going to take, okay, well, good enough. I mean, we haven't really talked about, thank you guys. So we haven't talked about the numbers of the frets. 1st fret, of course, you got your 1st wire, and then it's behind that wire. That's your 1st fret. Then the 2nd fret is that 2nd wire, but it's played behind that fret. Same with the 3rd and 4th and 5th and so on and so forth. Most of the stuff that we're going to cover will be within the first 3 or 4 frets, I believe. Most of the material for this. So don't worry about getting all the way up the neck just yet. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you you have to come up, everyone has their own phrase of how to remember these string names, right? We've got elephants and donkeys. Elephants and donkeys grow big ears. E-A-D-G-B-E. E-A-D-G-B-E. There are so many that are out there. If you're going to look one up on the internet, why not just invest in an app that I'll show that to you, because I will tell you, when I was growing up, when I was in college, I thought to myself, we didn't have the convenience of a phone and an app and referring that to that immediately. It was one of those, okay, let me just write it down on a postcard and leave it in my guitar case and I'll memorize it that way. But just keep in mind that it's important that you know the open string names, E, A, D, G, B, E. However you decide you want to memorize it, go for it. But don't limit yourself to having to memorize a sentence when you've got your iPhone. Everyone's carrying a phone with them. So maybe look up an app for that. All right. All right. How are we on questions? I think there have been no questions. Oh, Eddie, 8 Dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Very cool. I know who did it. Hey, Mike. How's it going? Mike is another one of our instructors. And let's see here. Okay, so that's that. Where are we in time? We're at 25 minutes past the hour. Okay, so the next topic that we're going to talk about is picks. All right, so you may be thinking to yourself, there's such a wide selection that's out there. There's so much to think about when it comes to a pick. You know, I mean, what are some of the considerations for a pick? And you know, it's very, just like guitar playing, it's very personal. It's very very much one's, however one enjoys playing, and the selection of pick could be thick, it could be thin. Well, I would like to go ahead and reintroduce you to Joel Grant, who has been my student for the last 8 weeks or so. We've actually talked a little bit about picks, and I thought maybe Joel will take a minute to bring up some of the things as a new student, what he has considered in the way of pick selection.
Okay. Well, when back in the 80s, my little brother is a heavy metal guitarist, and he had a bunch of different picks. He's a right-handed guitar player, and I'm a left-handed guitar player. So when I first borrowed his guitar, I done it upside down, then I just couldn't do it, so I put down the guitar for a while. So there's many picks. So I have a whole bag of picks that I kind of snuck away from my brother, and my cousin was a professional touring guitarist for a long time. So once I started picking up again, I just went to a music store and I bought a whole mess of picks, borrowed some from my brother and cousin. So I got a really thin pick here. I got a medium, and then I got a really, can you see that one?
Almost, there it is. Oh, that looks metal.
Yeah, this is a really thick pick. So I've been playing guitar off and on. I had guitars for over 30 years or so, but I never really took the time to learn. And when I met Tom, I really wanted to start strumming and singing at the same time. So once, and also I have Parkinson's disease, so strumming and picking can be a challenge for me sometimes. So what I do sometimes, well, first I'll cover the way you hold your pick. You just think of sticking out your hand and curling your finger in and putting your thumb right down on your index finger and holding the pick like that. But
real good.
You can see that I got some of the tremors. So what I'll do sometimes, I'll take something that's heavy, I'll put it in my hand, I'll hold the guitar slide in my hand, and I would it kind of helps steady my my picking hand sometimes. And I'm also learning how to do some slide guitar too, so I can take that slide and just put it on my finger, put it on my pinky of the other hand. So I'm holding my pick like that, and I just kind of strum it down. Whoops. And a lot of times when I start practicing and loosen my hands up, I'll just mute my strings and just do that sort of thing. Kind of warms up your arm and hand, and then I'll start with a chord. Sort of that. And then we'll get into the strumming patterns later. So there's many style picks. So this is the really light pick, and you can tell that it's kind of a brighter sound. Go to the medium one.
Now, Joel, you had mentioned you also play electric guitar. Do you use different picks for electric guitar?
I use different picks. So I like playing a lot of bluesy and pentatonic stuff on the electric guitar. So I'll use this. Can you see this one? This really little tiny pick. And there's something once you move on in your guitar learning in your life, I can get some harmonics out of the strings by using parts of my other fingers and stuff along with the pick.
Awesome.
To get some sound. So the little pick is I use it a lot for pentatonics and single note stuff.
So there's a use for picks for different occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Tom, Joe, if I may ask the question here real quick.
Go ahead.
Does the gauge of the pick have anything to do with the genre of the music that you're playing?
Yeah. Let me pick up my resonator guitar, and I got some really thick strings on that. So this is a thicker pick here for a wooden guitar.
It is, and you know, I want to, because I know Bruce, you've got a lot of experience with this as well too. What are your thoughts on that one, Bruce?
I like to use a really heavy pick, and I have different shapes and sizes. You know, kind of your standard, but then I also they do there is a difference in the tone, but I just like heavy picks because that's what I've always. I started playing bluegrass back in the '60s, and you need a heavy pick to drive the bluegrass.
Yeah.
I also play. In fact, I'm playing in a blues band this afternoon on my Telecaster. On that, I use my fingers because I get a better tone. You know, and I just by fingering the notes, with my fingers. I used to play fingerstyle years ago. I got away from it, but now I play with a pick and my fingers.
Real good.
One thing I forgot to mention when you talked about practice, I've kept a notebook for years. I mean, I have pages devoted to all of those instruments back there, and I keep track of songs I want to learn. I keep track of when I change my strings. I keep track of, did I have a gig? Did I get paid? Or did I get a beer or whatever? I mean, I keep track of everything, and I encourage my students to write their, when they're practicing, write down. Especially, I've had a couple of students that have pretty serious TBI. And they have memory issues. So when they write it down, they seem to remember it.
All right, real good. Okay, so let's see. Thanks for your input, guys, on the picks and all. We've got even a demonstration to show you how to hold the pick as well too, and it actually goes in to the details in the module lesson. So be sure to refer to that. I believe there's a video in there as well too. Let's move on to the next topic, and the next topic is tuning your guitar. And over the years there have been a whole set of different ways to go ahead and tune your guitar, and either of these will work. I mean, you can get yourself one of those clip-on tuners, a headstock tuner. Snark is real popular. I believe Paul demonstrates this in the video lesson that's in Module 1 on how to use it. Then, of course, there's, they've got things like pitch pipe. Those are kind of from way back, a tuning fork as well, which is, you would go ahead and slam the tuning fork on your knee and then hold it up against the body. You'd hear the tone produced within the guitar's body, and then you just hit your high E string and tune against it, which is, kind of how I remember doing it way back when. You could also use the single string method, low E, hit the fifth fret, sixth string, and that is going to produce an A, which is the next string, the fifth string, and then you have to tune by ear. These are all ways that you can tune your guitar in a pinch. And here's one thing to keep in mind as well. Are you playing alone? Are you playing by yourself? Are you just practicing? It's always a good rule of thumb to start in tune when you can. But there are times where it's like, oh, maybe the battery has died in your guitar and you can't tune it. Or maybe the battery in the tuner has died, or you just don't have a tuner. Well, just do the best you can. Just do the best you can. Yes, of course, the app is always wonderful. It's a wonderful option. Thank you, Bruce. It's most everyone has a mobile device that they can refer to. So that's always an option as well. But here's what you need to know about tuning. If you play with others, they're gonna look for a standard to play against, and usually that's in being in tune. So be sure that every time you pick up your guitar, it's always a good thing to tune up before you start anything, playing, practicing, whatever. All right. So make that a part of your regimen, which is the first thing you do when you pick up your guitar. When you first start practicing, let's go ahead and tune up. So let's do this right now. Grab your guitars. We're going to do this together. I'm going to purposely throw mine out of tune. All right. And so here's what we're going to do. This is a 3-step process. Now, if you watched Paul's video, it's a 3-step process. You're going to pluck the string. You're going to adjust, and then you'll pluck it again to make sure that everything is in tune. So here's what we've got on my low E string. Everyone get your guitars out, get your tuners out as well. And we're going to just quickly tune the guitar. And I'm going to give you the pointers along the way. So I am wanting you all to play your low E string, and take a look at your tuner and what is it producing? For me, it is flat. It is underneath the tone where it needs to be. What does that mean? So I've plucked, and now it's time to adjust. I'm going to go ahead and turn the tuning peg to a point where it's closer to being in tune, but not overshooting my target. So on my target here, I'm trying to hit E, and that green light is what I'm looking to hit. But let's say for instance I go too high. Now it's in yellow on my tuner. See what that looks like? I'm now sharp. I got to go all the way back underneath the tone, underneath the target tone, and try again. All right? So I'm still on D sharp. I'm getting closer. Pluck, adjust, pluck, and I'm there. Now, here's what you need to know. One thing that I kind of sped right through is that if you overshoot the tone, you'll have to tune the tuning peg back underneath where it's under the tone and then tune up again. If you overshoot it and then go back to the tone itself, depending on your strings, if you have new strings, those new strings will throw you out of tune and make it sharp. Or maybe they're just, dull strings and they do funky things when they get older in the way that the pitch doesn't seem to hold. So when you tune, make sure you tune from below the tone, hit the target tone. If you go above the target tone, go back and detune that string to underneath the tone and try it again. There's some practice involved with that, I can tell you right now. Let's try it with the A string. All right, here we go. A. So I'm gonna start underneath, and then pluck, adjust, pluck, adjust, pluck, adjust, I'm a little sharp. I got to go back underneath. All right, you guys get the idea, right? Here we go. So now that the first two strings are in tune, I got to do the other ones real quickly. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this real quickly. I'm going to quickly get up there to D, to G, to B, and to E. And that's what it should sound like when you're in tune and you're ready to rock. Okay. All right. Hope that helped. But you could always refer to the module material for a more detailed look at taking a look at your guitar to tune it. Okay. So how are we doing here? Any questions? Thank you, Gary. My instructor said it like this: every average dude gets better eventually. Every E average, A D dude, G gets B better E eventually. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Relative tuning, Mike. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure what that means. Do you want? Hold on a second here. Do I need to unmute you so you can speak to that? Are you there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, speak to that.
Yeah, that's just when you're using the 5th fret to tune your, A string or whatever, E string, A string, that's called relative tuning because you're tuning relative to a pitch.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I know there's so many different ways to tune, and I just use the snark. Hey,
yeah, I love my
snark.
snark. That's probably the nicest thing I've had because I know if I'm sharp or flat or if I'm right on. So.
All right, real good. Mike is again. He's one of our instructors here on the Cav Arts channel. You probably know that, and man, oh man, we'll be seeing more of you a little bit later, Mike. I'm sure. All right. Okay, let us continue on. We've got the chromatic scale up next, and so let's do this. Let's go ahead. Hey, Bruce, can I put you on the spot? Would you be interested in talking about at least fretting the notes first before we attempt to do the chromatic
no
scale?
problem.
You feel like it? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Chromatic scale, there are 12 notes, and actually in music there are only 12 notes. So when you think about all the beautiful music that's out there in different genres, there's only 12 notes. So I'm going to walk you up, and I'll name the notes. So you've got an E, you have an F, you have an F sharp, you have a G, you have a D sharp, and you have an A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, back to E. And you'll notice between the E and the F and the B and the C, it's not a sharp or a flat. Those two notes are, if you think about a piano, there's that place where the white keys, where there's no black key between the white keys, that's between the B and the C and the E and the F. So again, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, E.
Real good. And the thing is that as you learn the process and look for different, I guess, patterns on the low E string, it's going to be the first 4 frets with the open string, of course. And then on the A string, same pattern. And then on the 4th string, same thing. And then when you get to the 3rd string, because it's a little different on that string, it's only going to be the open and the first 3 strings. Then after that, it's going to be back to the open and the 4 strings. And then to the 1st string, same pattern. So that's the chromatic scale going one way. And and I know Bruce, I know you've got a topic next week on scales, and I know maybe we'll probably cover that a little bit more in depth but just that's an FYI. If you're looking for patterns, that's what to look for. It's going to be those first. It's the open plus the first 4 until you get to the third string. Then it's the open in the first 3. More on that. You got a whole life to learn this, right? You know, that's what I kept saying. All right, and of course, when you're placing your finger on each fret, remember, look to put it behind the wire. And make sure when you play it, it's clean. It doesn't buzz. If you're too far back, it's gonna buzz. If you're on top of the fret, it's not gonna quite hit the right tone. So you'll wanna make sure to place that finger behind the fret. And if you wanna do it with one finger, go for it until you get used to it. If you wanna use all 4 or 2 or 3, hey, you know, the beauty of guitar, it's all you. It's up to you what you wanna do. So I'm going to go ahead and use all 4 fingers, placing the finger behind the fret. And when you hit that 3rd and 4th finger, it's probably the weirdest feeling, but in time you'll get used to it. You just got to keep practicing. Okay, so that's the chromatic scale. I would like you all to grab your guitars right now. Let's do this together. Let's go ahead and play a few of these notes here. Let's start with the open E string. And then first finger, 1st fret, 6th string. Let's move up to the 2nd fret, 6th string with the 2nd finger. Is that what it sounds like? Okay, 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 6th string, right behind the fret wire. Sound clean? How's it sounding? Clean? Good, good, good. Let's keep going. And then the 4th finger on the 4th fret, 6th string. Let's go to the A string, open. That's an easy one, right? Okay. 1st finger on the 5th string of the 1st fret. Let's go ahead and keep moving using the 2nd string, 2nd finger, I should say. 3rd finger on the 5th string of the 3rd fret. 4th finger. Let's go to D. Open. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now the idea is to run all the way up. Keep going. We won't take the time to do that now, but that is something that will help you play cleaner. You know, just go slow, go that slow. And then when you're thinking, oh, this sounds clean and I can move through this really quickly, speed it up a little bit. And then, of course, when you get all the way to the top, then it's going back down, right? You know, all the way back down. So those are, again, these are things that are in the module lesson. If you want to practice those scales, it'll get you closer to cleaner playing. It'll also start to teach, you know, these independent fingers how to work together, really in collaboration. Now, here's one thing. If you're thinking, oh God, I'm so frustrated trying to do all of that. Well, listen, the mechanics behind all of this, there's a lot going on. First of all, you've got to, you know, get your hand around this guitar neck, you know, pretend you're holding an apple, hold it up to the fret, the neck itself, and then make sure your fingers are able to go ahead and curl around, arc over the strings and just touch the strings that you need to. And then the thumb is going to be behind the neck. These are all things that take a little time to practice. And until you do it repetitively, your muscle memory is going to start to improve as you do that. So don't be frustrated. It's totally natural to look at this going, there's a lot going on here. And there is. But once you start to actually do it and you hear it started playing cleanly, you're doing good. You're doing a great job. And you're starting to put it together. You're starting to take that walk down this the path of guitar, being a guitar player. All right. So I hope that is kind of clear to help give you some guidance.
I'd just like to add to add a little bit more to that, Tom.
Yeah.
So they know every finger you're fretting, It's a different note and it's got a different name. And that's why then hence the chromatic scale is gonna be going from one letter of the alphabet to the beginning of the next one. And there's gonna be sharps in there in between there somewhere.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. As you can probably guess, there's a lot that goes into playing guitar, but there's no need for you to learn it all today. Just know that if you, just as Bruce had mentioned earlier, a little bit at a time, could be 15 minutes, could be a half hour, but just add a little bit more every day. And as Joel had demonstrated as well too, you could start really from here's what I want to do to I'm doing it, and see how that all works out for you. So, and we're always here to kind of help you along. We're here on the Guitars for Vets Learning Center. We're usually fielding questions where we can, and I know Mike is a part of that as well too. So by all means, feel free to maintain, to continue. Oh my God,
Yeah,
is that Maslow's theory of?
This is something that I've used in the past for practicing. I break my practice sessions up into pieces. This is what I use, and everyone has their own. So I've got, I do 5 minutes on chords, 10 minutes on scales, 20 minutes work on new songs, 20 minutes work on songs that I've already performed, and the last 10 minutes I noodle. I just make stuff up. I also use a metronome when I practice. Structured practice is really important, right? You don't want to just sit down and just play. You want to have a goal in mind.
Most excellent. All right. All right. Well, you know what? There's one last thing that I want to share with you, and then I see Paul has just joined us as well too. Hey, Paul.
How you doing?
So really, we've come to the end of Module 1's intro to acoustic guitar, and I'm hoping that you all got something out of it today. We were able to run through a whole lot of things, not a lot of questions, which is kind of unusual. So hopefully we answered everything. Next week, we are going to go through modules 2 and 3. We're going to walk through how to read a chord diagram, and Valdemar is going to go ahead and help us with that. We're going to talk about your first chords, and it'll likely be 2-finger chords because those are the easiest to kind of place on the guitar neck and kind of maneuver around the fretboard for a little that we're going to be doing. We're going to also reinforce the proper fretting techniques, how to go ahead and do this. So we've already shown you, how you place your finger behind the fret wire and strive for a clean sound, playing slowly, no need to rush through it. And then we're going to talk about the chord transitions, a few more chords. We introduce you to a few more chords, and then Bruce will take us through the musical alphabet and talk about the major scale. So if you haven't taken a look at modules 2 and 3, this is the week to do that. So you'll be prepared for the next discussion on Saturday next week at 10 a.m. Pacific. So please throw your questions out on the comments. Paul, is there anything you'd like to add? I don't know if there's anything that comes to mind. I know that we've got a lot going on in Cav Arts, a lot of really cool things.
Yeah, so I see some familiar faces, a lot of new faces. And I would say if you are brand new to guitar and this is kind of your orientation, take your time with it. This is an amazing journey. I think most of us on here that have been doing this for over a couple decades can tell you how rewarding it is. For those of you that are a little bit farther than this, maybe still consider yourself a beginner, but you might know a few chords or you might know a scale or two. Go ahead and post in the general community if there's anything you want us to cover topic-wise. We have past live events and recordings on things like the pentatonic scale. But yeah, if there's something, if the module is too, quote, slow for you and there's other things you want us to consider, please put that in the bigger Cav Arts community and we will certainly address it.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, let's see. Is there any other special? I know that now would be a good time to talk about office hours, which just started last night. And, if you like what you're doing here, where we actually throw out different topics for conversation. Well, Mike's got something on for the next few Friday nights. Mike, I don't know if did you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about office hours? Let me unmute you. There you go.
Yeah, sure. just kicked off office hours and doing a dedicated like 8-week thing, learning a pentatonic position for the next 5 weeks, and then we'll throw in the blue notes for the pentatonics, which is a great place to start with scales. And it's a good jumping off spot to get into the cage system, and learning some more intermediate topics and everything. Putting up jam tracks and diagrams for the scale patterns, and following a guided lesson that Brian Kelly put out on zombie guitar that's available on YouTube, and just answering questions, general questions or whatever. It's a quick 10-15 minute lesson, and then whatever anyone wants to talk about, if they want to share a song or some ideas. I love learning stuff from people, so I mean, it's not about me teaching. It's just trying to help people get more knowledge and improve their guitar playing, and be able to ask questions. You don't have to feel like you're stuck here. You're not all alone in this community, which is a wonderful thing. We're trying to build up community and try to build up people that are interested in playing and maybe hit some roadblocks or whatever. And I like to ask other instructors, hey, how do you work with somebody that's had this sort of injury, or what can I do to help with memory? I've got short-term memory problems too because of brain injury. So I have to write everything down or record it. But once I get it in my long-term memory, it's awesome. But it's just trying to get it from short to long that's a problem. So I like learning stuff for that. So I mean, like I said, it's not all about me. It's about building community and helping people out, and just sharing the joy of this guitar, man. I love it. It's made a huge difference in my life.
All right.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
I do have one other kind of extra bonus for any of you that are on today. This is an offer that's only for you, and it's going to go away as soon as this ad's done. No, we do have. If you are wanting to get into the virtual lessons with one of our virtual instructor, there are a few spots open on the waiting list. So we had posted a link a while ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And what we do is we fill that waiting list up till we hit our limit based on how many instructors we have, because we don't want you waiting 6 months for lessons. So we kind of do it in 3-month chunks. But last time I looked, which was this morning, we had a few spots. So if any of you are obviously brand new to the guitar, or even if you're consider yourself a beginner, if you've been at it for a while, and if you want the virtual lessons with some of our Cav Arts instructors, I would recommend looking up that link and go ahead and fill out the application, and we could probably get you matched up within the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Awesome. All right. But the software is only good while it lasts. So. All right. Well, everyone, listen, thank you for hanging out with us on Saturday afternoon, morning, whichever time zone you're in. And we look forward to next Saturday hooking up. If you were able to go back to the Cav Arts site, make sure you click on the link, basically say that you're RSVPing. It'll provide you with the link to get into next week's live session. All right. So thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, Tom.
Have a great one. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, everyone.